What is going on, everybody, and welcome back to Salty Runback, here to be your weekly intake of North American Developmental League of Legends. We are back after a short hiatus. Things got a little out of hand scheduling-wise. I went on vacation. Hawk was doing a ton of work on the NACL, and we just really were never able to find full time to get together and do a recording over these past couple weeks. So we apologize for that. And a lot has happened since our last episode, so we have a lot to talk about here in our headlines, including the NACL playoffs, which are continuing to go on. And we just had another massive upset, just like we did in our last episode. My name is Grapes, joined alongside Hawk. Hawk, how are you doing today?
Grapes, I'm doing okay. We had football start today, just a couple hours ago at the time of recording. That was very fun. Football season's always a good one, something to get excited about. And also, there is some North American League of Legends to get excited about as well, which is good because we've been needing that. And one team in particular has got the people going, so that's been very fun to watch.
Yeah, I mean, all the talk about America's team, Dallas Cowboys playing, and there's a real America's team that we'll be talking about.
Another blue and white America's team.
Don't spoil too much here.
Sorry.
But yes, make sure you leave a like, subscribe if you are just joining us for the first time. Leave a comment, of course, as well.
Join the Discord.
We're going to continue to
talking a lot about football in there.
All the content. Yep. Join our Discord server as well. All of that good stuff. Hawk, is we're winding down towards the end of the season. I know there's been a lot of talk about what the end of the year is going to look like as well, and pretty surprising and pretty crazy to think that we're already at that point. You know, the season about to end, season 15, in just a couple of short weeks, and then we are off to Worlds. Yeah,
we've really only got one more real week left, and then it's sort of like the promotion tournaments and, like you said, Worlds. And then we got three more real weeks left in the professional level, but developmental season is pretty much over. I mean, I know promotion tournament is usually what we get hyped for, so there is definitely some questions to look forward to there, but maybe we can just dive right into our first headline, because the NACL, only 1 week remaining. We have winners finals and then grand finals. 3 teams. One of them has qualified for the promotion tournament, and then we got 2 more with 1 spot remaining. And for anyone that has been using Salty Runback as your sole outlet to follow, which I would assume is not many of our audience members, you might be surprised at who one of these teams is.
Well, yeah, let's get right into it. The last time we spoke, the first round of the upper bracket of the playoffs did conclude, and a big upset happened. The 1 seed Supernova losing to the 8 seed Blue Otter in 2-1 fashion, sending them to the upper semi-finals. This week, another big upset occurred between the 1 seed Supernova and the 8 seed Blue Otter. This time in the lower semi-finals, they ran into each other again. In the top 4, Blue Otter went on a run. Of course, they're losing to Conviction in the upper semis, beat DarkZero in a 3-2, and then took down, of course, our big favorites in Supernova. And this is a huge win for Blue Otter. Of course, a team that was really scuffling at the start of the year. A lot of roster switch-ups that went back and forth. Jungle and AD Carry had to be swapped out midway through the season. If it was not for an FF issue that if they lost that game against Conviction that ended up getting played, they would have ended up missing the postseason, but instead are now top 3 in the NACL. And Hawk, when we talk about this Blue Otter team, 2 kind of different groups of players on this roster, right? You got the old core who have literally been here since their first split in the NACL, Quacker, Samikin, and Rovex. And then you have Kryra and Array, the 2 new additions. Out of those 2 groups, which of those 2 have been the bigger reason for Blue Otter making it all the way to top 3?
Man, someone get the domino meme of Conviction downloading the wrong TR. Like, it really is absolutely crazy how Blue Otter, for the second time in their organization's history, has had an incredible, second lease on life that they have absolutely not wasted. And, people could call their runs fake for that reason, but I think it's the opposite. They have taken these divine interventions and simply ran with them. I think it could be argued with the single biggest upset in the history of Tier 2 is, but I would say this is the biggest run of upsets in the history of Tier 2. I mean, DarkZero finishing 5th, 6th after the year that they had is simply unthinkable. Obviously, a lot of it outside of their control, but also, like, them and Supernova were considered one of the two of them, if not both of them, shoe-ins for the promotion tournament, right? Kind of alongside Luminosity Gaming. 2 of the 3 are obviously going to make it. Who the hell else would beat them? Well, Blue Otter beat them both. Like, an unbelievable run. It is like this Blue Otter team. I've said this so many times, but I have never seen a more clutch League of Legends team than them. Like, it is just unthinkable what they have done, and I think it's unthinkable what they have done because I think, to answer the question at hand, it is a very strong combination of the two, and like I feel like this is an unanswerable question because I'm sitting here thinking, I mean, yeah, like Kryra is one of the best junglers in this league, and I think like anyone that says otherwise is an idiot. You know what I mean? Like this is the 3rd split in a row he's come in and saved the team, saved their season, or like at least made it better than it was going to be. And Array also like has consistently proven that he is like at least an NACL caliber AD carry, right? And like more than competitive at this level of play. But also I do not think Blue Otter would have gotten close to this 3rd place at worst finish if it weren't for their mid laner and their top laner just playing like the best League of Legends that we've seen from them all year. We've talked a lot about how we feel out on Quacker, how Samikin's not been impressing, and how we want to see him bounce back, and they have both more than achieved that.
Quacker retired last split, and then he decided to come back because the team like needed a top laner, and he came back. So that kind of just goes to show like where we thought these guys are at and like kind of our expectations of them. I mean, remember Blue Otter had the miracle playoff run about a year ago today in summer of 2024.
And that was just finishing 5th, 6th.
Losing to Supernova in the 5th, 6th match. So that was kind of the peak that we thought could have been achieved by this team. And they end up exceeding it kind of even to higher stakes and higher areas that we have even potentially imagined. And I agree with you. It is a very hard question. It is undoubtable to say that Kryra joining this team over, unfortunately, somebody like Low Jazz clearly had a high impact because Kryra is, I think, one of the best players that we have, or one of the best junglers that we do have in the league. I don't think he made any all-pro votes, but
he only played 4 games.
He only played 3 games, and half the time it was just not like there was like kind of adjusting, right? But seeing him in these playoff games, seeing him in CCG last year, seeing him even on DarkZero subbing in for Shimmer during their playoff run at the end of the split, definitely shows that he's a part of it. But I think I do have to give it to the big step-ups that we've had from Quacker and Samikin, as you said. So I think I'm going that route with the old core, really looking maybe better than we've ever seen them all kind of as a unit. Even Rovex, I want to make sure we get him a shout-out too because he tweeted after the series as well that he's really been working on like improving his leadership and being a big voice on this team. I remember Hawk, we would always talk about with this team in music, with Rovex in music.
He was like the
Rovex
secondary.
should be like kind of the secondary guy, but now he's kind of had to take that next step, and I think that has to be a big part of how this team plays because I think we know Kryra and Array, maybe not like the most talkative players, especially compared to somebody like Music, right? And so when you're seeing, a player like Rovex also kind of step into that role, that core of players, like, to me, is the biggest reason as to why they're here. And, from what they're saying, these guys, like, they don't really care about finishing 3rd place. Like, it seems to that, like, promoting into the LTA is their primary goal, has been all year, and even though it was not the best case for them at the start of the split, that is still their goal, and they are not going to be satisfied until they achieve it.
This fan's blowing my hair in my face. I need to turn it down. Okay. Dude, I know, right? Like, I think Blue Otter making the promotion tournament would be the story of, like, all time in NA Tier 2. Like, Conviction doing it as well is also pretty impressive. Like, we'll kind of talk about that in a little bit, but like Blue Otter has so frequently made themselves a very easy team to root for. And I just feel like compared to the expectations, like that would be an unbelievable journey for them to even be in this like touching distance of the LTA. You know what I mean? Like that That would be insane because no one really had any of these 5 players on their radar for that level of play. Like Samikin's like a maybe in the future kind of guy. Same with Cryo, right? But no one else really had their eyes on any of these other people. And I want to talk a little bit more about Samikin in specific because, again, like he really, we were kind of like, like sophomore regression, sophomore slump kind of feels like it's here. Like he's not bad. Like he's still in NACL mid probably. He's just like, he's not really that good. And in these playoffs, Samikin has faced up against 2 of the 3 unanimously considered to be the best mids in the LTA. And I think 2 of the only 3 mid laners that anyone would like even put in conversation of playing in the LTA right now. And destroyed them. like Samikin gapped both Toasty and Ablaze Olive in back-to-back weeks. That's unthinkable to me. Like it's unbelievable. So I mean, credit to him. He also still continues to do it in like his own style, by the way, which is
I
common.
would say even more so this split than last split. And I feel like that maybe is part of the reason as to why they're finding more success. He's more willing to play the Mels, the Morganas, the Seraphines instead of, the Talias and the Orianas, right? And maybe that is just what Blue Otter need to do to win. And hey, shout out to them for identifying that and being able to achieve it.
And it's been a common theme amongst all of the top 3 teams. We have Viper playing Vayne and Riven. We have Insanity playing Kog'Maw, Ziggs, and Tomio and Kiana, right? Like, I feel like all 3 of these teams in the top 3 have embraced a style. And I think specifically for DarkZero, that was something they tremendously failed to do in their summer split. And Supernova also somewhat, but I don't think that was as like they did somewhat have their own style, but and so like I'm just it's so great seeing a team like Blue Otter that like just has this like clutch factor and like not being afraid of playing against the best teams in the league, and they're willing to beat them in their own way. Like it's just amazing.
Yeah, and we'll talk a little bit more about Blue Otter in our next headline, but before we do that, I actually want to go back to last week's games really quick, and I'm very curious to hear your thoughts about this because we had to say goodbye to DarkZero in 5th place in this 5th, 6th place match, right? Obviously, there was a lot of lag issues on Sajed's PC on his home setup that caused a lot of issues in Game 5, and that clearly had some impact, right? But I think overall, even if you kind of discount some of that, this DarkZero team obviously didn't look the same as it did in split number 1, where they were kind of dominating everybody except for maybe LG at the end of the split. And for a team like this, Hawk, I'm just curious about if you feel any sympathy for this organization who decided to come into the space and build up and really try to like make it their goal to promote into the LTA, only to have Yuji, Zamudo kind of just snatched away from them and having to kind of rebuild on the fly. Just curious to hear like what your thoughts are on that, and if that is like a healthy thing or something that should exist, or it just kind of is the way how the cards fall in a way. Because to me it is an interesting story that one of the biggest promotion candidates at the start of the split, at the start of the year, kind of had their main core shaken up halfway through the season.
Yeah, it sucks. I mean, DarkZero literally suffered from success.
Yeah.
And I do think it is a problem. I know we kind of had this written under our next headline, but I'm going to bring it up now. I think it kind of goes hand in hand with Isurus and the LTA South picking up Kaney for the promotion tournament. Like, okay, I guess we're just picking up players to avoid getting relegated like it's 2017. And I mean, Kaney's not double lift, but like
it's not the same though.
It feels similar.
It's even worse. It's even worse than that because
You're right.
The double lift situation was halfway through the regular season. This is after the teams have already been eliminated from like the playoffs.
Yeah, and I mean I just feel like it's the same. It's almost the same thing for DarkZero, where it's these teams at the top understandably will do anything to prevent themselves from demoting in this system or to do anything to play better. And I mean, players in the minor leagues should have the opportunity to go pro, right? Like, the system should be set up that way. But there is nothing in place except for buyouts to protect DarkZero and their investment. I think it sucks even more so that we never even got to see Zamudo play. You know, like he went and played one best of 5 in LTA South. Like, okay. So I think that makes it hurt even more so. You know, the loss of Yuji and Zamudo were both shown to be pretty significant losses. Like, I think DarkZero walks away with an NACL championship if they had Yuji, and I think they don't lose to BLUE OTTER if they had Zamudo. You know, and my feelings on this issue are really complicated. You know, we've talked a lot about this kind of over the course of the season. I don't know what I think, like, the solution is, if it's a problem that needs to be solved, but I do. Yeah, it's tough. It's tough.
To me, it goes back to just the identity crisis that this league and its ecosystem continue to face, where, oh yeah, we're a development league, but also we are trying to win, right? And that's very important, because if you're an organization like Luminosity or DarkZero in this specific instance, you're putting a lot of money into this year of competition, which is essentially all kind of going lost, right? You're not making necessarily a profit off of competing in the NACL, other than maybe the prize pool that you win off of it. The goal is to get into the spot and then maybe increase your brand value there, and then maybe win some championships there. So when your chances of achieving that goal in this first year are directly hampered by your competitors, and we see it cause such a significant impact in the way that it has, where the best team consensus in the NACL for the first half of the season ends up finishing 5th and 6th, kind of just dies out. And, you know, that's not just a problem for DarkZero, it's a problem for the ecosystem, because we in North America need DarkZeros to come in and be competitive if we want this ecosystem to succeed. And so making sure that their kind of kneecaps are blown out halfway through the season is not helpful for anybody.
Well, and
so that's where it feels really hard to have any sort of it's just really hard to compartmentalize, and I don't know what the solution is.
Well, no, but you're right, because it's also like, you know, if this league is meant to be an entertainment product, it's terrible for this as an entertainment product if this keeps happening, right? I mean, there are multiple things that have been really bad for this league as an entertainment product this season, by the way, that like systematic issues, with this being one of them, you know, the lack of consistent rosters. But if this is a developmental league, why are we in this promotion and relegation system, and why don't these teams have minor league teams, you know, but we tried that and it didn't work. So yeah, I agree with you. It's like, I don't know if in the way that the system is currently set up, if it's inherently a problem, because it's like, well, I guess the system's just set up this way. Again, I think teams at the top level, understandably want to pick up good players in the middle of the season, but I don't know. I just don't know how you navigate that better. But to your point, yeah, there's just this identity crisis. So it's what are we doing?
Yeah. Apologies for going on that tangent. I just thought about it.
It's an interesting thing to bring up, because I do feel for DarkZero, because also you know, you think about the reputation of even Maryville, right? It's they got too good to be a pro organization, you know what I mean? Because it's they're gonna be the first collegiate org to do everything. They're gonna be the first collegiate org to promote to the LTA, but they got too good for themselves, and it's really interesting.
Because there's not, I'm curious if there's any if you're a European soccer fan, let us know if there are similarities to what we're seeing here, and what kind of competitive integrity stuff's in place to prevent situations like this from happening. I'm actually very curious, because that's, I think, the closest mirror to what is existing right now in this space. So yeah, let us know. And yeah, 07 to DarkZero. Hopefully they still enjoyed their time here in the NACL and are interested in investing in League of Legends in the future. Let's talk about a team that is going to be in the promotion tournament, though, for next split, as we go into our second headline, and that is Luminosity Gaming, who have made it into the promotion tournament with a 3-1 victory over Conviction in the upper bracket the upper bracket finals. Pretty convincing series from them, just completely hands-gapping, I think, with some of the struggles that we have seen from teams like Supernova and DarkZero, who have been kind of the favorites going in. It's very clear that LG are at the top of the chopping block, top of the table in terms of our favorites going into this potential event. And now we have one more spot to fill. That'll be filled next week. in a matchup between Conviction and Blue Otter, a rematch of the PCTR issues and also a rematch of that upper semis, which Conviction did win. Do either of these teams, Hawk, have a chance at promoting both either against Luminosity, but also Disguised, Astral Esports, and the SDM Tigres, both from the LRN?
Look, Grapes, I feel like I've said there's no chance of Conviction and Blue Otter, both these teams doing things, and it keeps happening. So I'm not going to say there's no chance. There's always a chance.
Yeah, these are our 9th and 8th place teams in our power rankings.
They
that are now top
were
3.
the 9th and 8th place teams in our power rankings. Yeah, I'm well aware of that. And,
Goes to show for parity. Hey, we said there was going to be parity,
we did say
and
there
I
was
guess
gonna
it
be
looks
parity.
like we were right.
Yes. Yeah, I'm well aware of how we rated these teams at the beginning of the split, especially Conviction. But man, yeah, there's always a chance, and like legitimately, like there's always a chance, you know, especially for teams that have had the bravado, sort of the bravado of these teams, you know, like anything could happen. However, if I was a betting man, I would definitely say no. Like, watching and casting that Luminosity Conviction series, that was not a close 3-1 at all. Like, it felt like Conviction had to do everything right and play like one of the best games that they had of the season, and also like rely on a colossal fuck up from Tactical. Like, Luminosity was still kind of winning that game until Tactical decided that he wanted to get hooked by a stunt. Like, that was what it took for them to win like a 40-minute game. Whereas Luminosity in their wins, it looked very effortless, and like they kind of just rolled over Conviction. Like, that series did not feel close. The series that Luminosity played against Blue Otter did not feel close at all, even more so. And Disguise just went to Game 5 against Cloud9, which has really reignited a lot of people's belief in this team to defend their spot. Like, I mean, Dark Wings has been playing like a legitimate LTA mid, and you know, XU looks better. He looks better. Castle was always playing pretty well. So, like, yeah, I don't really think so. That's, like, again, completely discounting the LRN teams, which, like, we have, I hope, learned our lesson from last year to not just, like, assume these teams are going to roll over and die. Like, honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if Blue Otter or Conviction is considered to be, like, the 5th seeded team to come into this tournament power rankings-wise, because of those reasons. So, yeah, I think it's an achievement for either of them to make it there, and never say never for sure. But to me, it feels like a very outside shot.
You're definitely relying on some sort of magic, right, for either of those teams to beat either LG or TSG,
like,
or any of
them.
them.
To add something really quick, it feels to me like, and this is not to take anything away from Conviction and Blue Otter, they're great teams, but I think them being in this position is somewhat indicative of the NACL regressing a little bit in its level of play, as opposed to these teams progressing. Like, they have gotten better, and they are great teams. But I do look at, like, DarkZero and Supernova, and I just feel like the league is not as strong as we hoped it would be.
I would agree. Yeah, we knew that LG would be towards the top. I think we kind of thought that maybe other teams would be able to contest them, and it clearly has not been the case. So, obviously, other than best of ones, but we have seen how indicative those are in terms of judging success levels in the postseason so far. So yeah, Luminosity, in my opinion, are pretty neck and neck with DSG in terms of how favored I think they would be. If you asked me last split, I would definitely say that LG is the favorite. But I think with how DSG has been playing as of late, would not even.
I think it'd be a great series.
Take it out of consideration to put Disguised ahead of them in terms of who I would actually expect to make it through.
I think it would be a great series.
I think the top side of DSG has been playing really well, and obviously LG's top side is good, but it's like, how good are they compared to like a higher level LTA team who's had all this experience playing in the league that split? And definitely do not want to discount our LRN teams as well. Obviously that Astral team who has Summit and Ghost and Winsome, they lost to the SCM Tigres in a 5-game series in the upper finals. Had to go through the lower bracket.
Yeah, I don't fucking know anything about that team, but bro, they're number one
out
of the LRN, and I'm really afraid of them.
That's enough for me to at least be like, all right,
no,
like, you guys, Yeah, we gotta be worried about these SDMT grades, and well, I guess we'll learn more about them as we get throughout the rest of this. And get ready for this promotion tournament, which I guess we just got official word about when it's going to be happening, which is after the LTA finals, not during the LTA finals, as it seems like some of the teams and the players were initially made aware of. So
It's fucking hell. I mean,
it's gonna be an interesting time. The format is a little bit curious to me in that it's remote up until the last day, and then the last day has no fans. But we'll see how it goes, I guess.
yeah. What are we doing with the LTA promotion tournament? Can we talk about that like really quickly? Like,
Yeah, they wanted a LAN. They wanted it to be in person, but
Right.
I'm sure they didn't want it. They probably couldn't figure out a way to make it all in person, and maybe the one day it just didn't make sense to bring fans in, and so they're just gonna try to fly the teams into Mexico City
yeah.
in the 2 days before the final.
There's a ton of things that don't make sense here. One is that the dates were miscommunicated to everyone for months, and a Riot employee also spread further misinformation on the internet about said dates, which sort of led to pressure, seeming like it was almost like the announcement came out today in reaction to that.
What a beautiful coincidence
Yeah.
that promotion tournament
Which, like-
announcement came out.
Like, this isn't me trying to point fingers at anyone, because like I'm sure that person just meant well, right? And like understandably the competitors are annoyed, and so that was just sort of like the outlet. Just a really strange situation though, and it's like, okay, that we definitely care a lot about the promotion tournament, y'all. And honestly, I think it would be less offensive to me if the whole thing was online instead of this awful solution that they've come up with of flying the teams to Mexico City, not LTA studios here in Los Angeles, Mexico City, because the tournament is administered by Liga Ace and not Riot. That's the reason, and we know that, I believe. I don't want to spread misinformation, actually, but I'm like 80% sure Liga Ace is in charge of the tournament. 80%. If I'm wrong, you heard it here first. I'm pretty sure, but I'm not 100% sure. But that would at least make sense to me. And so yeah, flying to Mexico City instead of LTA Studio, which is sort of like another like, okay. And then they're just not doing like literally it feels like we're pissing away like tens of thousands of dollars to fly these teams to Mexico City for absolutely no reason.
Yeah, like if
Like,
you're not
what's the
gonna have
fucking
fans,
point?
just do it online.
I know.
I guess, right?
Like this,
Like, are we
this is
trying
how
to
we got
prepare
into this
them
position
for-
by making these terrible mid-ground decisions that just burn money and with no return. It's baffling. It's baffling.
Shout out to one of our loyal supporters, Shanatonin, who tweeted that this finals is in preparation to get these teams ready for playing in the LTA closet. for next
Yes,
season.
that was a good tweet.
Which I thought was very funny.
Just a,
Weird.
yeah, I don't
Weird for
like
sure.
this at all. Don't know what we're doing, but honestly, not worth harping on at this point because look where it's gotten us.
Yep,
Grapes-
it's a fitting conclusion to the 2025 season.
Yes.
I'll leave it at that.
In happier news, I do want to ask, we should put our money where our mouth is for the people. Conviction or Blue? Who is it?
Like, okay, obviously Blue Otter lost to Conviction in pretty handily, I would say, in that upper bracket.
They did.
But I'm gonna go with the Magic. I hate to say it, but I'm kind of throwing my analysis out the window here. Blue Otter looked great against Supernova, like a 3-0 over the number 1 seed to me, and two of those wins in a row. Like maybe there was some falling out over on Supernova's side, who knows? But to me, that's impressive for Blue Otter, and Conviction obviously has been able to do pretty well for themselves as well, making it a top 3. I don't know. I would love to like give you some further analysis here, but I'm going Blue Otter, baby. I'm having them make it to the finals. I'm having them make it into the promotion tournament, and it is going to be great.
Damn, dude, you stole my whole. Because now I'm like, fuck, people are gonna call me biased again. Like, because Conviction is a better team. Blue Otter has played so well, and I'm so proud of them. Samikin can beat anybody. And Blue Otter can beat anyone, but don't let their 3 over Supernova distract you from the fact that Supernova played like dog shit. Like it's true. They played very bad. Game 3 ended because a Blaze Olive didn't have flash and somehow let a Mordekaiser Death Realm him. Like I just don't know how you let that happen as like a mid laner at this caliber. You know what I mean? And so it's like that is a very important thing to understand. I also think specifically Perry and Viper are like these mountains that Kryra and Array are going to have to climb. I'll say Array and Rovex because, like, let's throw Stut in there, like the 2v2, the aggressive 2v2. I fear that the guys on Blue Otter, our guys, you know, are not going to be able to get past these these 2 amazing players that Conviction has. And like I thoroughly underestimated before the season. Like Perry absolutely still has it from his Disguise days. He might even be better than he was then, despite taking a year and a half off of competitive. And Viper, like I was such a doubter of him on ADC, and he's been amazing. But I want to predict Blue Otter as well. I want to make my official prediction Blue Otter for the exact same reason that you said, is like despite all of that analysis and logic, Samikin has proven to me that he can beat Cat Evolved, which Cat Evolved has also had a great split. Like he went toe-to-toe with Insanity, which is really impressive. But like Samikin also is proving he can do the exact... Like I feel like their trajectory in these playoffs has been exactly the same, which is great. But I feel like the power of friendship, like it's going to go to 5 games, and Blue Otter is just going to... Like it's game 5 Samikin, man. Elimination game, summer, Samikin just doesn't lose. And so Blue Otter will win somehow in 5.
I've learned enough times to not doubt this team in the clutch moments, and so I'm not going to do it.
Yeah,
I'm not going to do it.
But Conviction is the favorite. Conviction is the favorite.
We like the value of this Blue Otter pick, as we can move on to some OQ discussion. Speaking of another promotion tournament that'll be happening a little bit earlier than the one down in Mexico City, the OQ is fully underway. We've gone through 2 of the 3 weeks so far. 2 teams have already promoted back in, or at least qualified for the promotion tournament through the upper bracket. Congratulations to Apex Mission Impossible with a slightly different roster, as well as Zenshi Gaming, who ended up taking down Lotus in what I would consider to be a pretty big upset. That leaves 10 teams down towards the bottom half. This is the classic, lower bracket to figure out who those last 2 teams are. Cupid Esports, who is the 5 players from Pulsar last season, and Lotus, who is, a big core of Porsche, Chad, and Robbie, and then they have Chrome and Claritz at the bottom lane. And then 8 other teams that we'll go through: Flamencos, Milk Esports, Royals, Reppy Bars, Pepe, Weber State, Zero Animosity, and Syndicate. Out of those 10 teams, Hawk, who would be the best 2 in terms of entertainment purposes to go up against CCG, Vancouver Impact, Zenshi, and AMI?
Grapes, I have 2 picks, and they're not going to be the favorites. I'm sorry, Cupid and Lotus. I do think you'd be very entertaining, and I think you're good teams. But my picks are going to be Weber State and Milk Esports Whole Milk. My reason being is that Weber State actually has the opportunity to only become the 2nd collegiate program to actually qualify into the NACL. Now, Winthrop has more than earned their spot since their entry, but Weber State could actually be the 2nd collegiate program to qualify, and they would be the first one that is not part of like this old guard of collegiate, right? Like kind of they're not a collegiate blue blood. They have kind of come out of nowhere, and they just seemingly keep getting better and better every single year, which has been extremely fun to watch. So for that reason, I would really like to see them. It's also just a bunch of players we've never seen at like a promotion tournament level of play. And I think them getting that opportunity would be really, really cool. They already took down Galaxy 2-0, which is a pretty big win for them. And then for very different reasons, I would love to see Milk Esports Whole Milk, because they are basically like the NACL rejects of last season. Like Minui now in another role. Phi Mini, Aaron, a lot of our favorites. All
Levitate,
on that team. What's up?
Levitate. Aaron is on Lotus.
You're right. Damn it. Maybe I should vote Lotus. I would also really like to see Lotus, but you're right. But Levitate, same idea.
Wrong side of the bracket, though. You know, you have Weber beating Lotus in this scenario.
Yeah, but like I just think for that reason it would be really cool to see Milky Sports Whole Milk do it, because it to me would just be a victory lap of like these players all showing that they still have what it takes, because it's a bunch of young guys. I guess Manui is sort of like one of the older guard in that squad, but even him, like I think he had more to show us with his role swap, and so if he could like do it again in top lane, it's like, damn, what can't this guy do?
He's this is the furthest that a Draxer team has gotten in one of these things. The Milky Sports Whole Milk.
Yeah, the pandemonium of Draxer promoted would be crazy.
As much as we were flaming, you know, oh, Draxer's like fell for it again award, this, that, the other thing. This is the furthest they've made it. They're still in the OQ bracket, or sorry, the ACL bracket as well, which you definitely check those games out. They start up again on Monday. So him playing okay alongside Minui, Mini, Levitate, Cryogen, like that is the most talented roster on paper that is still left here in this tournament, I would say. So definitely think they have a good chance, especially up against that Cupid roster that is kind of awaiting them at the end of that lower bracket. So if they can take down Flamencos and the winners of Royals and Repi Barras, shout out to Repi Barras as well, always a classic with the Geiger Coulter team thrown in there. I'm going to go Milky Sports and Lotus. I think I love Weber. They brought in Patau, who's great. They have Sendy back in the 80 carry position. They brought in Mystiques, who is just going to add a lot of leadership to that team. I think they are a strong contender to win the West Conference in CLOL next year, as well as even making a run to top 8 or beyond in that tournament once we get to 2026. But for now, I think I'm just going to trust a little bit more of the veterancy. And I think having some of that veterancy is going to make things very fun in the promotion tournament as well, because we have some vets coming in from the NACL this year. It's obviously not just like the Pulse and AMI like it was last split. We have CCG, is a roster full of really, really talented players, of course, and in the other team of Vancouver Impact, which literally was like the team of vets that made it in to the NACL last split.
The reason to root for Lotus is to root for another episode of Dragoon versus Porsche, which is one of our highly played top lane matchups.
Robbie is great too.
Yeah, Sudsy Robbie is also like a classic. I would love to see Robbie back, and again, I would love to see Aaron back. So yeah, like I'm definitely very okay with that. Dude, I feel like Porsche, Dragoon, and Alorum are like the holy trinity of like the tier 2.5 top laners. Like those three guys just
always in the mix,
fight each other in the promotion tournament every year, I feel like, and it's so fun.
I mean, hey, this is where we've lived for like the past 3 years, so we don't mean it as like a sign of disrespect or anything.
Dude,
like,
those are our goats. Like we love
the
those
most
guys.
entertaining matchups. Yeah. I feel like sometimes are in that sphere.
Brother, some of my all-time favorite moments of a broadcaster involve those three guys. Because I think of Dragoon finished that fight, which is maybe the greatest caster call of my career. I did a sideline interview with Alorum at CLOL, and I got to interview Porsche on stage with the confetti raining on us. I love all three of these guys. They're awesome.
Yeah, no, 100%. I think these are all competitive teams. I would say some more than others. Like obviously, big shout out to Zenshi in the top bracket with Cupic. They have a new 80 carry who. His IGN is just like the Christian Cross. I forget what exactly his like pronounced name is that they were saying on the show, but just completely from solo queue. They had Kim Down playing with them, and Barrick really stepped up for them. So like
dude,
that's gonna be like the new
top
blood
laner,
roster.
Man. We've been telling y'all, Barrick's at that level.
That's gonna be like the fun like young team that made it through the upper bracket. And
all right,
we'll
let's
see,
not call NXI young. Let's not get ahead of ourselves here. But
no, but like the other guys, right? Like a new ADC. I guess Kim Down is like
I'm just being a dick.
Point, but
shout out to Retro Zing on AMI, by the way, filling the shoes of Mini. I've always thought Retro Zing's a good player, and he's now in the promotion tournament. So
yeah.
Speaking of
we'll talk
players.
more about like how we think that they're gonna do
when they actually
CCG
get there,
and Vancouver Impact once they make it. Yeah, maybe in our next episode. So with that being said, we're gonna move on a little bit to collegiate. Now you might be wondering, hey, it's September. I thought all the lands were canceled. Like what's going on in the fall? Well, a brand new league has been announced called Division ONE. It is founded by Clerky and a lot of other kind of people that he has been working with over the past couple of months. Basically what it is, is about how it sounds. It is Division One esports, or at least that is what they are attempting to create. League of Legends and Valorant, collegiate teams, an 8-team league. I'm going to name off the teams that are competing right now as well. Maryville, Winthrop, St. Clair, Ohio State, Stony Brook, West Virginia, Boise State, and Utah. Now, you might recognize that these are not the 8 best CLOL teams in terms of competitive rosters, but they have met a set of criteria that, go and measure the health of their program, how much investment they have, how much scholarships they give out, what the consistency of the program is moving forward, as well as they all bought in to the league. And some of that buying in is going to provide some really cool things. Live up-to-date stats, a full double round-robin regular season of best-of-3s that go through the fall and the spring that result in a LAN finals with all 8 teams competing. All of those matches will be broadcasted, as well as all of the regular season matches being broadcasted. Hawk, it seems like this is all that we've been asking for, and it's possible because we're in this limited, smaller, more contained capacity. Now, Division One has said that this is kind of a trial run for what this could look like in the future, but do you think a solution like this is what collegiate esports needs going forward?
There's a lot to unpack with Division One. I have not been able to form my opinion entirely, because I don't think it's possible to. Oh man, yeah, is this the future of collegiate esports? What a question. Because look, I think that this league being run by Clerky, and I've said this before on the show, is one of the only people maybe in esports in a leadership role that I believe in that has genuinely good intentions and also is crazy enough to try to carry it out, in his vision, which is a very rare set of qualities. And I very much believe that Clerky is going to try to do Division One as absolutely the best he possibly can. You know what I mean? And he really believes that this can be the future of collegiate League of Legends. And the idea behind it is good. It is, they are starting the product with everything that a successful product needs, which is some sort of entertainment foundation, a way that the product itself can have intrinsic value. That's something really important that a lot of esports has failed upon. And it also has some innovation upon it, right? It has a usable UI and up-to-date stats. And I also like how it is going to attempt to marry the Valorant and League side of these esports programs instead of treating every single game so separately, which I think is an interesting idea. And for all these reasons, I'm optimistic about what Division One is going to bring to the table. They have most of the ingredients. They've dug a hole for their house and they've filled it with cement. But I'm a little bit worried about the biggest ingredient, which is the randomness of esports. Because looking at the teams here, it's a pilot, right? They are running a pilot that is going to be designed to directly compete with the current collegiate landscape as it exists and all of its faults, right? But in order to win, you can't just have a better recipe. You have to cook a better dish. And the teams aren't that good.
You don't have the ingredients.
Right.
You're substituting, right?
Exactly.
To add on.
It's we're using parsley instead of chives. I don't know. I'm getting way too up my own ass with my analogies right now. But it's Maryville's here, Winthrop's here, good, okay, OSU, they got a program, Boise State, they have some really good esports. They suck at League, but they have some good esports. They've got a lot of well-meaning schools that have respectable programs, but one, is that going to be true of these schools 2 or 3 years from now? We don't know. And also, is the fact that they are not competitive and probably won't be for at least a year a problem? I don't know the answer to that question, honestly. And it's just it's what scares me. And so that's all my thoughts. I'm honestly not going to try to make any conclusions, Grapes. I'm just going to pass it over to you.
I like that you're kind of, bringing up the more skeptical side of things, because I'm very high on what they're doing here at Div One, and I guess I can kind of not an argument, because I agree with a lot of and basically everything that you say, and what you bring up as being concerns, because they are very legitimate concerns, and that is something they're going to have to try to go through with, right? Like the unhealthiness of esports. Like you think about a team like Illinois State or SLU, like probably were in the initial vision of like how and which teams would be in this league. And they immediately have like lost their programs in the past 2 years. Like these big stalwarts that you expect to be around forever suddenly maybe don't eventually. And obviously part of the criteria that people are filling in when applying to join Div 1 involve like the potential sustainability, but who knows if that is going to be the case. I do think that the how competitive will the rosters be in the next 2 years. I think the reason that they are basing things off the criteria is to try to create a world where in a couple of years these will be the biggest teams, because they'll have a lot of funding, they'll have a lot of investments, they'll have talented directors kind of at the helm. But the question is, can they get there?
Right. Because
the bigger. Sorry, go ahead. I have a lot more to say, but
sorry. I was just going to cut in really quick. One of the things that makes me really happy is, from talking to both Clarky and the other person in charge of this operation, shout out to Slade, they actually have like a 5-year plan, or it's like a 3-year plan, of like how they are hoping that the growth is able to go. And they have like certain contingencies in place. And so, that is a great sign as far as like, if they can run a successful pilot with like maybe slightly shitty competition, they can try to grow the product from there. Biggest thing that scares me is like, what if like, even if you do everything right, what if in 3 years it doesn't matter? But that's the super doomer take. Anyway, keep going, Grapes.
Yeah. So that is the criticism that I 100% agree with, right? Like that is the biggest like issues here. The two kind of debates and discourses that I've seen online that I think are bad criticisms of what Div 1 are doing. The first of I guess the first one is that why aren't we getting like all the good teams? Why aren't we getting all the high ranked teams to play in this? And as I already mentioned, very specific reasons, very specific criteria for this. The biggest thing that I think is weird that people kind of continue to bring up is the whole notion of, oh, it's another one of those leagues that is just going to pop up and do nothing. Just, why do we need more leagues? Just one more league, bro. We already have NECC. We already have this. We already have that. This is such a different product from what any of those, different conferences are bringing to the table. Whether it's Playfly, whether it's NACE, whether it's any of those other things. I think the NACE Super Conference is something that, Hawk, we followed a little bit last year, that is probably the ideal of like the teams that would be competing in a league, in a kind of super league, in a competition like that. The problem is there was a very limited buy-in from any of those teams, which meant no games were streamed unless it was just like kind of a co-stream by somebody on their own independent channel. And the LAN ended up happening, but only the finals were broadcasted and the production wasn't that great. You can't, as you mentioned, you can't have the perfect recipe without all the ingredients, but I think the ability to kind of turn those the ability for those ingredients to kind of mature and develop is better than having all the good ingredients but like a horrible recipe, right? And so I think that is what is very exciting about having Div 1 as a product, in that if eventually we can come to a world where either it is these 8 teams, it is if they end up expanding, or if more teams or more schools end up developing the correct criteria and developing proper programs, if they can all be a part of this league with this specific model, that is how this collegiate esports thing turns into something bigger than what it is right now, which is a nothing burger, right? Where we can turn these storylines into things that normal people care about and not just sicko esports fans like the two of us and maybe like 5 other people that are watching this show. It's going to take some time, but I like the vision that they have. And I still think that there are going to be exciting things to talk about, especially just because it is a continuous regular season that is going to be played. If you can pick teams to root for, even if they're not going to like win, if they can pick up some upsets, right? Like say Stony Brook takes a game off of St. Clair, that's going to be pretty exciting. I also like the fact that the Valorant and the League of Legends schedules are actually mirrored, which means they're going to be playing each other at the same time. A lot of really, really cool things here, and if there's more money, if there's eventually some more investment, and of course some better teams that continue to develop and grow into here, this has the true potential to really transform into the future of collegiate esports. And this is not to say that CLOL should be going away. I think that these two products could exist simultaneously in the same world, because you could have this league in Div 1 where all the high invested teams are playing, and then you just have the D3 tournament, which is just CLOL proper. And I feel like that is a better way to separate things, whether versus having Maryville play up against like a bunch of teams, a bunch of like kids that are just playing as a part of their college club, right? And so that's my take on that.
Yeah, I think the biggest reason that I'm optimistic about Division One is that, and kind of going back to the conversation about the other leagues, is that Division One is not run by operations people that view entertainment as a box to check. It's run by people with an entertainment forward mentality. Like, their entire construction for this league is built off of community accessibility. It's not just being built as a platform for players and staff to use. It's built as a community endeavor that people can follow and participate in and become invested in, which immediately is more correct than literally any of these other collegiate leagues. NECC, CLOL itself, NACE. Like, operating a league is important. Yes, you want to do that, but they have an entertainment forward mentality, and that is, if this product's going to succeed, this is why.
Yeah. I think all the aspects of accessibility and like having any college team that wants to play, like, CLOL is a great place for that, and it should still continue to exist. But if you want to like create a big entertainment product, that is not where you're going to get the biggest opportunity for entertainment. You needed to be much more focused in, and I think that's what Div 1 could provide.
I mean, I don't even think it necessarily matters that it's more focused. It's just they have a plan for it, like that's the biggest thing.
Yeah,
for
like
me.
Their goal is not full player accessibility. It's like fandom accessibility. Yeah. It's they're two leagues with two different goals, and I think both of them can exist, which is I guess like,
well, right, and then
no,
that's exactly the point. It's like, okay, if streaming a ton of people is impossible, then forget about it. We need to make a new league where we can stream people and actually create conversation about games. Because the best part about this is, again, starting small, their goal is to expand. They have a 3-year plan. So it's not going to be 8 teams forever, more than likely. And so, yeah, like the league will grow, but you have to start somewhere with a pilot that has an achievable goal. And that's what's smart. For me personally, to sit on a soapbox for a second, I know we're already running long on this episode, but I'm very much hoping that this league can reignite any passion that I have left for the scene, because the last few months have been very difficult for me to like on a very personal level to have the same get up and go that we've had for a while, Grapes, and I feel like, I don't know if we're allowed to leak this, but I feel like it shouldn't matter. We'll be involved with this project, and it'll be in like just a caster role. Like, we're just gonna be casting the games. It's kind of back to our roots, and this to me feels like the last project that I'm willing to give a chance, because I believe in the two people that are in charge of it, and I believe in the vision that they do have. But I came at it from the skeptical angle because of how many things I've seen go the way that they have. So,
yeah, and there's definitely flaws that exist right now. It's just we'll see how they kind of attack them and try to fix them.
So, I'm optimistic for Division 1, and I'm hoping I can throw my full creative weight into something for the first time in a while. But that's my serious take.
You know what? It's happening sooner than you think. Games start next Sunday, and I think there's going to be some rollout of content kind of unveiling the teams, the rosters, and etc. We'll make sure to keep you all posted on that. We've gone from the NACL to the qualifiers to the LTA. Now we go. with the final headline, which was a request from one of our patrons, Shauna Tonin, of course, the Ghost, here talking about the LTA and one of the teams that just got eliminated in Dignitas, who lost, of course, to Disguised. A lot of memes ended up kind of spiraling, but, you know, we always flame the Dignitas team building and how that ends up happening. So Sean wanted us to try to, you know, put money where our mouth is here. What we're going to do is eliminate, excluding any of the current rosters that are still competing in this event, except for 100 Thieves, because we know that they're not going to be, you know, around next split. Pick a starting 5 that can make Dignitas a little bit better than they were last split, and maybe give them a bit of a better direction. You can use team players from the NACL, from the LTA, maybe even use some imports, Hawk. What do you got?
All right, yeah, we're gonna do another armchair GM. I think the goal is to mostly use, you know, LTA and NACL players, but obviously, like, I feel like saying, hey, here's my strategic import is maybe valid. Okay, so we can use 100 Thieves because they are going to boom. We are going to allow ourselves to use Lion, and yeah. So let's start with the obvious things. Zamudo and Surdy both need to be on teams for next split. I think. Because I think Zamudo has earned it through his play, and Zamudo proved it in his short stint with Lions. So, Grapes, I feel like we're grabbing one of those two top laners. The question is, I guess, does Surdy come back to Dig?
Let's go Zamudo because
Right.
Surdy has already been here.
Lion decides to keep Surdy, and we take Zamudo. Where do we go next?
I feel like, okay, if we want to be like a little bit realistic, River's going to military service. I imagine TL are leaning towards keeping Yuji. Jungle is kind of, I think, the biggest question mark that we have here, because Shaded is obviously a very talented player. I feel like we didn't see the full potential of what he was able to do. Is there anybody else kind of from the LTA? I don't think so, that I'd rather have over Shaden. Maybe XU, but it gets kind of dicey.
Yeah.
And then so it gets to the point of, like, is there an NACL player that we want to try to grab from the jungle role?
I honestly don't think so. At least not over Shaden or XU, I think is where I'm at, because yeah, like I'm just thinking about it, and like what it's Tomio or like Perry, Kisno. I think I'd rather, like, all good players, all could get to the LTA level. I don't think any of them I would immediately rather have over Contracts or XU. I think, sorry, Shaden or XU. I think I would rather have XU if our top laner is Zamudo, though. I'd rather have somebody that is just gonna go crazy all around the map.
I think I agree.
Yeah.
I feel like XU is more similar to Yuji's, like kind of.
What if we just took Disguised's mid jungle straight up? We just took XU and Darkwings, ripped them right off that team, and put them on Dig.
I was gonna say Quid is around if we have an import spot, but
Quid is very good at League of Legends. I will, yeah.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Could try to keep this energy though. I don't know. I think I want to leave my like NA dev pieces towards the bot lane. I want to grab Sajed for sure. And so I think then it comes down to like which mid laner we want to take and support.
Okay. Okay, so we go. So what we have: Zamudo, XU, Sajed.
I like Ayla. I think Ayla's been playing pretty good league too. And he probably is not gonna have a team after 100 Thieves disband, so I feel like Dig could be a good landing spot for him.
Could we get Core JJ to lane with our guy Sajed?
See, this is like where we border on realism, right? Like I feel like Core is TL or die, right? Like he's either gonna retire.
Yeah,
or
you're probably right. You're probably right. Who else could we get? Busio's not on the table. Busio would be a good pickup. Is there anyone in the NACL
like Zyko, Rovex, Zazel's great, obviously.
Yeah, let's take Ayla. What if we took Yan from TL?
Yan and Ayla reunited?
Reunited on Dig with XU and Zamudo, and then in the mid lane we put Quid. It's kind of a fire team.
So we have Zamudo, XU, Quid, Yan, and Ayla. I mean, I think that team would be pretty good.
Dude, that team is not.
We're bordering on
that team is
realism
not
right here
7th,
for
8th
sure.
in the LTA.
I don't know how realistic it is, but it is a fun team.
Who do we get if we can't do Quid?
I would say Dark Wings or Insanity. I'll leave that final call to you. Do we want to keep the synergy, or do we want to go with just like the on paper?
Let's keep the disguised boys. Come on,
right.
come on.
So Mudo, XU, Dark Wings, Sajed, and Jan and Ayla, and bam, we got a full 5 team.
Dude, that team is crazy.
Interesting for sure. Not definitely a team that Salty Runback would put together.
Definitely a team that Salty Runback would put together.
episode.
Honestly, okay, on paper, it's like absolutely not better than any of the Dig rosters, but we get a coach that actually knows how to develop the talent, and we keep them together for the entire year.
Deal. We'll see if that becomes the roster. We could definitely clip this and it would be great. So
like,
yeah,
dude,
who knows? Maybe FlyQuest. Yeah, you see the FlyQuest announcement? I mean, things will already be kind of settled.
Brother, if FlyQuest is booming, we have bigger problems.
It's definitely a meme.
100% a meme. Like I said, if FlyQuest is booming, we have bigger problems than who is Dignitas picking up.
Dignitas roster is gonna look like.
Oh man.
Yeah. Fair enough. Well, that's going to do it for this episode. Hey, fun headlines. We covered a lot of different topics. I know we took a bit of a hiatus kind of.
We haven't spoken in a couple weeks.
So
we needed to catch the people up with our thoughts on everything.
So we hope you enjoyed. We'll be around next week to cover more of the games. If we have interesting second part ideas as well, that'll definitely be a part of this here too. And yeah, thank you so much to everybody who is watching. Make sure you subscribe, leave a comment, all of that good stuff, Hawk. Hey, we're closing in, and it's been a really fun 2025.
It's been a long 2025. It has been fun. There have been a lot of great
fun,
moments.
Salty Runback episodes.
There's been a lot of Salty Runback episodes. Grapes, we've like doubled our episode count this year. I mean, it really has been a journey. I know my Twitter, I guess, was a little misleading. I'm not like retiring, guys. I just, like I said, was not sure when I'll be on my next show. It'll probably be Div 1. We're at a really interesting place in the space, but as always, we really are thankful for everyone for sticking along with us. And yeah, join the Discord, because to be honest with you, like if Salty Runback episodes aren't coming as regularly as you would hope, that's probably how it's going to be for the foreseeable future. So if you join the Discord, though, you can hear us too, and a lot of other people in the space yap about like all the stuff we talk about on the show. So it is a lot of fun. Join us there, and yeah, man, let's close it out strong. Let's close it out at the top. Make sure you check us out on all of our social media at Salty Runback NA, at Hawkcasts, at Speedy Grapes. We do more posting like bad memes and dunking on people than we do actual analysis these days, but it's pretty fun. So like, come and like it there. And if you think that Blue Otter is going to make it to the LTA, you can take what we said with a grain of salt. I've been Hawk. That's been Graves. Have a good night, y'all.